Another long day alone. She pours herself a generous glass of wine, swirling it like some elegant, refined woman, even though she's in nothing but a silk robe and fuzzy socks. The dog, a smug little thing with too much personality for his size, sits attentively in front of her, ears perked, tail wagging in slow anticipation. "All right, class is in session," she announces, downing the wine in one unladylike gulp. "Today's lesson, how to make Daddy's life just a little bit harder." The dog tilts his head. She smirks. He's already a straight-A student. "Show me what you've learned." Like an actor on cue, the dog immediately limps across the room, dragging one paw as if he's just barely holding on to life. He lets out the most pitiful whimper known to mankind. She gasps, clutching her chest like a southern widow. "Oh no, baby, what happened?" The dog rolls onto his back and moans dramatically. She claps. "Oscar-worthy performance. That's my boy." Reaching into her pocket, she tosses him a treat. He catches it midair like the spoiled little actor he is. "All right, let's move on to trick number 2. What do we do when Daddy calls us?" The dog immediately stiffens, eyes wide. Then, just as practiced, he dramatically collapses onto the rug, legs splayed, tongue flopping out like he's some tragic Shakespearean hero who's just been fatally wounded. "Yes! Yes!" she cheers. "That's the commitment I'm talking about." Another treat. Another tail wag. She leans forward, conspiratorial. "New trick, baby. You ready?" The dog stares, eyes locked on her. She dangles a sock between her fingers. "Your next mission, steal these and hold them hostage." The dog snatches it immediately. "Yes! Excellent! Now, where do we stash the contraband?" He bolts to the laundry basket, tail wagging furiously as he buries the sock deep within the pile of clothes. She cackles. "Oh, Daddy's gonna love this." Just then, her phone buzzes. She grabs it, already knowing what the message will say. "You busy?" 3 dots. Then they disappear. She smirks, rolling her eyes. He does this every time. Too much work, too tired, maybe later. Typical. The dog thumps his tail expectantly, waiting for the next lesson. She lets out an exaggerated sigh. "Well, my love life's a wasteland, but at least I've got you, huh?" The dog wags his tail harder. She pats his head. "All right, one more lesson before we call it a night. What do we do when Daddy tries to get romantic?" The dog leaps onto the couch, wedges himself between the pillows, and sprawls out like a blockade. She erupts into laughter. "Perfect! Absolutely perfect!" She raises her glass in an imaginary toast. "To the best damn man in this house." The dog licks his nose. She leans back, swirling her wine. Her phone buzzes again. "Hey, you might be late tonight. Don't wait up." She snorts. "Oh, I won't be." The dog perks up. She eyes him. "Looks like it's just you and me again." He wags his tail, excited, as she kicks off her socks. "Well," she says, stretching her legs out, "you know what that means." The dog lets out an excited little bark. She grins. "Time for another round of Drive Daddy Insane." Reaching for her phone, she clicks on the security camera app. The camera in the corner blinks. She bites her lip. "I really hope he never checks these." Morning rolls in, and she wakes up to a wet nose nudging her cheek. The dog stares at her, tail wagging expectantly. She groans, voice raspy. "Ugh! What time is it?" The dog hops off the bed, runs to the bedroom door, and looks back. She sighs, stretching. "Fine, fine. Let me pee first, Jesus." The dog doesn't care. He's already halfway down the hall, ready for whatever nonsense they have planned today. She drags herself into the kitchen, tossing food into the dog bowl. He eats like it's his last meal. Grabbing her phone, she texts her husband. Morning. You alive? 3 dots. Then nothing. She smirks. Classic. All right, my furry little accomplice, she mutters, sipping her coffee. Time for today's mischief. The dog perks up. She opens the sock drawer and picks out a fresh one. Lesson 1. Ransom negotiations. The dog immediately snatches the sock and bolts under the table. Good boy. Now, when Daddy finds you, what do we do? The dog lets out a deep, exaggerated growl, clutching the sock between his teeth like a hostage. Yes. Beautiful. Hold the line, soldier. Her phone pings. Husband, did you see my socks? She grins. Nope. She takes another sip of coffee, scrolling through her messages. Husband, seriously, I just bought new ones. Her eyes flicker to the dog, who is now perched under the table, sock still locked in his jaws. She types, weird. Maybe they ran away. A moment later, I swear to God. She cackles. The dog thumps his tail. You, sir, she tells him, are a criminal mastermind. Midway through breakfast, her phone buzzes again. Husband, okay, so the dog just played dead when I called him. She nearly spits out her coffee. Oh, this is it. Game time. Weird, she types. Is he okay? Husband, he just laid there. Didn't even blink. She presses her lips together, shaking with silent laughter. Husband, I thought he was dying. She loses it. She's gasping, laughing so hard her stomach hurts. The dog wags his tail, oblivious. Husband, are you teaching him this SHT? Asterisk. She wipes away a tear. Of course not, babe. Maybe he's just dramatic? Husband, he passed out like a damn fainting goat when I called his name. She's in tears. The dog, catching onto her mood, jumps onto her lap, licking her face. Okay, good work today, she wheezes, scratching his ears. You deserve a medal. She tosses him another treat. Phone buzz. Husband, if I come home and find out you've turned our dog into a con artist, I swear. She bites her lip, grinning. Guess you'll have to come home early and find out. 3 dots. Then nothing. She smirks. Oh, baby, she murmurs, stroking the dog's head. We win today. The day drags. She lounges on the couch, half scrolling through her phone, half watching the dog chew on a stolen sock like it's the most important job in the world. Her phone buzzes. Husband, long day. Probably working late again. She snorts. Shocking. Husband, don't wait up. She rolls her eyes. Oh, I won't. The dog perks up as she tosses her phone onto the couch. Well, baby, she sighs. Looks like it's just you and me again. The dog wags his tail. She stretches, running a hand through her hair. You know what that means. The dog immediately leaps off the couch, tail wagging like mad. She grins. Mischief hour. Grabbing a handful of treats, she waves one in front of his nose. All right, listen up. Tonight's mission, Operation Cock Block. The dog cocks his head. She smirks. When Daddy gets home, he's going to want some attention. We can't let that happen. The dog wags harder. Step 1, she continues, maximum clinginess. The second he tries to sit down, boom, you're on his lap. The dog immediately jumps onto the couch and sprawls out like a dead fish. Yes, excellent commitment to the role. She tosses him a treat. Step 2, every time he touches me, you act devastated. The dog lets out a dramatic, whimpering sigh. She gasps, hand over her chest. Oh, my poor baby, what's wrong? Did Daddy hurt your feelings? The dog tilts his head, whining. She cackles. God, this is evil. Another treat. All right, final step. When he finally gives up and goes to bed, you get in first. The dog bolts to the bedroom and flops onto the pillows. She grins. You're a damn genius. Phone buzz. Husband, traffic's bad. Be home in 20. Perfect. She scoops up the dog, cradling him like a baby. All right, soldier, she murmurs. This is what we train for. The dog licks her nose. She sighs dramatically. At least one man in this house knows how to give me attention. The sound of the front door unlocking sends a jolt of excitement through her. Showtime. She quickly sprawls across the couch, tossing a blanket over herself. The dog, right on cue, dashes to the door and stops dead in his tracks. The second her husband steps inside, the dog collapses like he's just been shot. Her husband freezes mid-step, eyes going wide. Oh, for F***'s sake, he groans. She barely holds back a snort. He drops his bag, eyes narrowing. I know you taught him that. She feigns innocence. Taught him what? Maybe he just... The dog lets out a long, dramatic death rattle. Her husband glares. She shrugs. Maybe he's sensitive. Maybe you're a goddamn menace. He steps over the lifeless body on the floor and heads for the fridge. The dog cracks open one eye to check if the coast is clear. Her husband grabs a beer, pops the cap, and takes a long sip. What else have you been up to? She smirks. Oh, you know. Girl stuff. He raises a brow. Girl stuff. She nods. Yeah. Self-care, deep introspection, criminal conspiracy with a dog, real spiritual sh**t. The dog sits up, wagging his tail. Her husband eyes them both suspiciously. I feel like I'm walking into a trap. She tilts her head. What, like you think I planned something? He points at the dog. That thing faked his own death to avoid going on a walk this morning. She bites her lip to keep from laughing. He sighs, running a hand down his face. You're corrupting him. Oh, babe, she murmurs, stretching lazily. I'm corrupting way more than just the dog. His eyes flick to her legs. Uh-huh. She pats the couch beside her. Come sit with me. He takes another sip of beer. What's the catch? No catch. Just wanna cuddle. He hesitates, clearly not buying it, but finally sits beside her. The second he leans in, BM. The dog launches himself onto his lap like a grenade. Her husband lets out a pained grunt as 30 pounds of fur crushes his stomach. She gasps dramatically. Oh no, look at that. He loves you so much. The dog immediately starts licking his face. Her husband groans, trying to push him off. Get off. She grins. What's wrong, babe? I thought you wanted to bond. He shoots her a murderous look through the flurry of dog kisses. You did this. She sips her wine. I could call him off, but I kinda like this. The dog wags his tail harder, completely oblivious. Her husband glares. I hope your next orgasm is just okay. She gasps. Take that back. He finally shoves the dog off and stretches out his legs, exhausted. She smirks, running a hand over his thigh. Come on, babe. You know you love me. He exhales, shaking his head. I married a lunatic. She leans in, lips brushing his ear. And yet, you're still hard right now. His jaw clenches. I hate you. She grins. No, you don't. The dog jumps back onto his lap. Her husband groans. I swear to God. Her husband finally shoves the dog off and leans back, rubbing his face like a man who has seen too much. She watches with an amused smirk, sipping her wine. So, he sighs, You want to explain why our dog fakes seizures now? She gasps, all innocence. Excuse me, our dog is a thespian. Respect his craft. The dog dramatically collapses onto the floor again, one paw stretched out like he's reaching for an Oscar. Her husband watches deadpan. What the SCK? Asterisk. She grins. Method acting. He gestures to the dog. This is not normal. Do you understand that? Dogs don't just. The dog lets out a dramatic, wheezing sigh. His jaw tightens. Jesus Christ. She's practically crying with laughter. He learned from the best. Her husband shakes his head. I leave for work, and you turn him into a con artist. She gasps, hand over her chest. How dare you? He's an entrepreneur. He steals my socks for ransom. He's running a business. Her husband exhales slowly, rubbing his temples. I married a lunatic. She leans in, voice low. And yet, you still want to F***ck me. His jaw clenches. I will throw that dog between us right now. She laughs, slipping into his lap. You wouldn't dare. The dog, sensing a shift, watches them both. His tail wags. His moment is coming. Her husband rests his hands on her hips, eyes flicking down to her mouth. Oh, IF** King Dare. She hums, rolling her hips against him. You sure? 'Cause I feel something real eager down there. Bam. The dog launches himself into her husband's chest like a heat-seeking missile. SCK**. She shrieks with laughter as he nearly topples off the couch. The dog sprawls across them both, panting excitedly. Her husband shoves the dog back with a groan. This is actual sabotage. She's gasping for air. He just wants to be included. He wants to see * block me. The dog wags his tail. Her husband glares. He knows what he's doing. She wipes away a tear. Yeah, he does. Her husband shakes his head, standing up. Nope. I'm showering. Maybe there I can have some peace. She smirks. Oh, babe. He stops. She leans back, stretching. Did I ever mention what I taught him to do when he hears the shower turn on? He stares. No. She sips her wine. Guess you'll find out. The second he disappears down the hall, the dog perks up. She giggles. Showtime, baby. The moment the shower turns on, the dog springs into action like a soldier receiving a covert mission. He bolts down the hallway, claws clicking against the hardwood, tail wagging like a lunatic. She leans back on the couch, sipping her wine, absolutely gleeful. Then, what the F? She nearly chokes, laughing before she even sees it. The bathroom door slams open, and her soaking wet husband stumbles into the hallway, completely naked, soaked, and holding the dog at arm's length like a demon just climbed into the tub with him. The dog looks delighted. Why? Her husband shouts. Does he think showers mean attack? She's wheezing, gripping the couch for support. He just wants to help. Help with what? Drowning me? The dog wriggles free and bolts straight back into the bathroom. No. Too late. A loud splash. A moment of silence. Then the longest, most exhausted sigh she's ever heard. Her husband reappears, drenched, glaring at her. I hate you. She's doubled over. No, you don't. I hate this dog. No, you don't. I am banning you from training him ever again. She grins. Oh, babe. You think you can stop me? He narrows his eyes. You're a menace. And you love it. He exhales slowly, staring her down. Then he turns, walks toward the bedroom, pausing just long enough to add, Lock the door tonight. She blinks, then grins. Oh. Guess she was getting trained next.